Hey guys, want to welcome you back to an episode of the Black and Mild podcast. Well, guys, today we have a special podcast. If you're watching on our YouTube, if you watch on YouTube, again, you can follow the Black and Mild podcast on my YouTube channel. Really, my name, Adrian Crawford. But if you're watching on the YouTube channel, first of all, you see my illustrious co-hosts, plural, are not here. I didn't fire them. We didn't get rid of them. But actually, I had an opportunity for an impromptu interview with Brian Macon. Brian Macon is one of the founders of Handle Life. He is based in Boynton Beach, Florida. And as we recorded this, we recorded this really the day after the NBA draft. Brian, as you're going to hear, is a lot of skill development with Scottie Barnes, who shocked a lot of people. Again, Scottie was going to be a lottery pick, which that means being in the top 14, but actually was picked at number 4 last night. And Brian has been a big part of Scottie's development and Scottie's success. And what you're going to hear today is really, I love having authentic conversation. And this thing went from basketball to then at the end, Brian actually asked me a question at the end about life. He's a new dad and a new father. So he actually asked me, how do you balance all this stuff? So we jump into that. So it was an incredible conversation. And I love the conversation with Brian just because of the simple fact, man, a lot of times, my generation, Gen X, generation boomers before me, we like to crap on the next generation. And so whenever I see people really who are making impact, really doing things well, I love to highlight them. And Brian is one of those individuals. And so today is just an interview. Again, we don't have air it out. Make sure, hey, you subscribe, man. Hey, make sure you leave us a comment. You guys know the routine, 5 stars only. But enjoy this interview with Brian Macon. Well, guys, I'm excited to be joined by someone I've known for a while now. I think one of the best skill developers in the game, a guy who had as we were recording this, a really exciting night last night. I'm joined by Brian Macon. Brian, what's happening, man?
Hey, what's up, man? How are you, bro? How's the family?
Everybody's well. How's your family? Hey, you're a new dad. Congratulations, sir.
I appreciate it. Hey, I'm gonna need your help with some tips soon.
Hey, all I know is this. I can just encourage you right now, man. Right now at this age, it's just survive in advance. You ain't getting a whole lot of sleep. You know what I'm saying? I promise you, man, it's light at the end of the tunnel. All right, I promise you. That's the one thing I can tell you. It's light at the end of the tunnel. You'll get some sleep soon.
That's encouraging.
There we go. So, how is, let me just jump right into it. So, as we're recording this right now, I know you were you were at the draft last night again. You are, as I mentioned in the intro, guy's been working a while with Scottie Barnes, the 4th pick, to the Toronto Raptors. I know you've known Scottie for a long time. So let me just first start with, how do you feel? Again, as somebody who's been in the trenches for a long time with Scottie, how was last night? How did that make you feel? And how are you doing?
It's just amazing to see someone put so much into something and they be rewarded for it. And not only him, but his whole family. A lot of people made a lot of sacrifices for him to be who he is. So it was just rewarding to see him, still overcoming the obstacles where people didn't think that he was going to be drafted that high.
Yeah.
So it was just amazing to see like all of the work that he put in, day out. His sacrifices, being disciplined, and just to see it, he basically just changed the whole path of his whole family, you know what I mean, in one night. But we saw it took him 8 to 9 years of doing it, but it's just amazing to see that last night.
Yeah, and man, you know what? Honestly, what speaks to how, again, a little bit, him being up here at Florida State and, me working with the team as a character coach. One thing about it is that, I didn't get a chance to be super involved with Scottie just because of the pandemic and there were so many rules around. Normally, I'm around those guys all the time. But the one thing I've always known about him is he's just been a dude, man. He just is in the trenches and he really does get it out the mud when he does. Because even right now, we had to push the podcast back because, 3:00 last night, he hit you up and said, hey, man, we got to get in the gym. So speak to that kind of the kid's mentality because, he just really does have a different mentality.
He just wants to get better. Every time I see him, he's improved on something. Like when he came back from Florida State, he was better. Anytime I go like a couple of days or maybe a couple of weeks without seeing him, whether he's playing USA basketball or somewhere else, he just comes back better. And he's just the best way I can feel is like remember the movie The Matrix, when the first time Neo like got downloaded some like the first fighting thing, and he was like, I want more. And that's how he is. He just knows that the hard work is gonna equate to the success. So he just wants more and more and more and more and more. So
Man, no, and it is true. I watched him, again, one of the things being the doing color commentary for the radio, one of the things I constantly was amazed by watching him play basketball, and I used to always remind people this on the radio, is that as they don't ever get deceived by the stats that man puts up because of just how he impacts the game. When I would watch Florida State, he impacts the game without having to dominate the ball. He just and it's that whole idea he wants to. And the thing I think that I feel is the biggest thing about him, the kid just wants to win. Like, he's just a winner. He competes at a high level. And I think when you have that mentality, what it leads to ultimately then becomes then you constantly want more. Like you said, you want more. You want to get better, because I think his better is always about, how do I keep helping people like win? How do I help keep going from there? Yeah. Well, here's the question I'm going to ask you. So going into this draft, man, like, kind of take us in behind the scenes, man, of like, I know that there's been I know that there was some work that he was doing out in LA. I know he's done some work with you. Like, kind of walk us through, like, kind of how you guys approach really this kind of process. Because one of the biggest things is that, one of the biggest question marks for Scottie was that, can he consistently shoot the ball? His motor was never in question. The intangibles, 6'9", 220. I tell people, man, he's built different. So, like, I always used to say on the radio, that man was like I feel like he went to Professor X's School of the Gifted. Like, that man's like an X-Men. He just got that, But, like, there are some questions, but one of the things is that, he really shocked people how he shot the ball. So what was kind of the approach going into the draft with him?
The approach was just improve his whole game, but we focused a lot on shooting, but just continue to improve like his ball handling, the way he moves with the ball, and also his shooting. As soon as the season came ended there, we started back in South Florida. We started working out. We would go like 2 and 3 times a day sometimes, and then once he signed with BDA. He went to Santa Barbara to start working, strength and conditioning, and he started working with Packy Turner, and Packy started Packy did an amazing job of just getting him to engage his legs on his shot, and just get him to understand his shot, because I couldn't be out there because I had the baby, like the baby was being born. Mm-hmm. So then once I got out there, I started doing my stuff. Packy was still. I added on to Packy sessions, and then like we would come back at night and just get extra work in. And then like Scottie. Like, if you know Scottie, if we're in front of a bunch of GMs and coaches, which what the combine is, he's gonna impress people just because of the way that his demeanor on how he approached the workout. He approached the workout as an opportunity, something that he can kill, and he wasn't like nervous about it and everything. So he approached it the right way. He shot the ball fairly well. So that's basically it.
Yeah, no, there's a couple of things that you said there. And the first thing I want to say, now I'm going to go. The first one is this. Walk through that process, man, because me and you both know this. Again, I used to, do a lot of skill development, sold the company, did that. And one thing about skill development, like a lot of other industries, is dudes many times, unfortunately, are super sensitive. And, like, oh, man, this is my guy. But the fact of the matter is that's one thing about you. It was never like my guy type of vibes. You know what I'm saying? It was never, the whole thing, never, man, my little bro type of vibes. It was always like, so even working with, another trainer. Like, walk that through that process, because let me tell you this. I know that, like, me and you both know, that ain't usually the way it works. People willing to collaborate and do that. And the fact that you're just like, oh, man, he really, even giving the guy credit, oh, he helped this, and here's what he did with his shot, and even giving him credit, because most guys don't do that. So kind of walk me through your process and mindset about that.
My mindset is, like, I know what my relationship is with Scottie. You know what I mean? And I'm not insecure about, like, losing my relationship with Scottie. And if it's anything that can help him, like, in the game of basketball, And like I watched what Packy did. Like I could have easily tried to step in and been like, no, we're gonna do it a different way. But first and foremost, like Scottie was comfortable with it, so there's no reason for me to like interject bad energy into what's the process that they've already set up. These guys like trainers, these guys like Scottie's gonna work out millions. He's gonna shoot millions and millions of shots that I'm not gonna be there. You know what I mean? So there's no reason for me to like feel like I'm just such a huge part about like his development. I'm just a part. You know what I mean? Whether that part is in the summer, I'm a major part. Rather during the year, it's just me texting him when he's at Florida State, whether it be when he's on the road and he may need me to come, sharpen up his skills, whatever it may be. I'm just here to help the kid. You know what I mean? Like that's a blessing in itself just to be able to be in this position to help him. So I just never want to bring bad energy. You know what I mean? Especially if someone who has a proven record like Packy, and like he was like Scottie was comfortable with what he was doing. So there's no reason to bring that bad energy into the situation.
Yeah, no, and let me tell you this, man. I really do. I mean, that's a mature approach, and it's what you said. It's like I always used to try to approach it this way. I think what gets lost many times in this game today is that people actually think people belong to them. Like, this is my guy, this is my whatever, and you're like, no. I used to always tell people, I'm like, man, if it's about the person, then you do whatever is best for that person. You know what I mean? So it was like, man, like you just said, what's best for him was like, man, what Packy was doing is like, man, he had the ability to do it. So this is, and what you just said, so you were part of Scottie's journey. Man, I'm here. I'm part of Scottie's journey, whatever. One thing I want to kind of jump to is a little bit about this, and then we're going to kind of talk about the draft and other stuff. But a couple more things about Scottie is that the one thing I love that I saw last night, and some people, they were tweeting about it, thinking Scottie was a little bit arrogant. He's a little bit, man, who's this kid? But like what I've learned, that's just Scottie. So when he gets drafted fourth, and two things I noticed. One, Scottie was still Scottie. So Scottie dancing, Scottie doing that, that's just Scottie. He brings, like you talked about earlier, he just brings energy. Like that's why he wows people in workouts, because it's not a fake thing. Would you agree with that? I mean, that's what, from my distance and watching him and commentating on him, that's what I got to see this year.
100%. But he's a great teammate. Like he's a great person, great teammate. I mean, just to give you an example, like we're at the combine and we're walking in the hallways of the hotel, and the hotel was connected to the gym. So we're walking down the halls, and like every GM that's walking by, he's like, "What's up, man?" And he's like actually giving these people hugs, like as if it was like Coach Hamilton, like walking down the hallways, like, "What's up, man?" Like dapping them up. Like that's just who he is. Like everybody in the building knows who Scottie is. Like the people downstairs at the hotel, at the NBA, the check-in, they're like, "You were Scottie Barnes?" I was like, "Yeah." They're like, "We love that guy." Like that's just who he is. So you have to give him room to be himself, because it's not coming from a malicious or a bad place. He's just really like from where he's from, and he's just really excited to be picked fourth in the draft, because earlier in the year, like they had him 8th, 10th. You know what I mean? So like we had to fight and claw. So that's what it is. You know what I mean? Like that's a celebration, because even last night they had 5 cameras on another guy. They only had 1 camera on him, and so when he was picked like fourth, like even the guys on ESPN was like shocked. You know what I mean?
Yeah. No, they absolutely were. And I had heard kind of pre that I heard that, kind of through some guys I know that, man, like Toronto loved him because he just wows people. He just say he's a winner. He can play multiple positions. He can switch 1 through 5. I mean, he's just one of those guys, and he brings that. And I know that one of the things I'd heard with Toronto is one of the most important things they're trying to do is bring more than anything, a guy, I mean, again, is uber talented. But the bigger thing I think that I've heard that they loved about Scottie was just what you just said. He's a great teammate. He has an infectious personality, and the Joker just wants to win basketball games, whatever role he has to play. Yeah. And so here's the thing. One thing I did see last night, and again, I don't know if it was, at least from my observation, I know you were there, but what was really interesting, because, Jalen Suggs, everybody thought he was going to go fourth. But I don't know if you saw this, but, man, when Scottie got, like, drafted, Jalen Suggs' reaction in, like, a good way, You know what I'm saying? Like Jalen Suggs, I mean, he stood up and got like really excited about it. So, because they played together, right? At Mount, they play together at Mount Verde, or was it when he was with Cade? He was with Cade.
Yeah, that was Cade, but I think they played on USA basketball together, maybe.
Gotcha. Yeah, that was something really impressive I saw from Jalen Suggs. I mean, I saw because I thought it was one somebody in Scottie's group because they had the cameras. All of a sudden, I see the dude with the suit. I'm like, oh, that must be somebody in his group. And I'm like, oh, that was Jalen Suggs. That he stood up and he got hyped for him. You know what I'm saying? And so, I think. And let me ask you this because you're a little bit younger than me. A lot of dudes in my generation, we have issues with that. You know what I'm saying? We wouldn't say, oh, them dudes ain't competitive enough or whatever. But, like, could you speak to that? Like, this generation is different. These guys, they're competitive, but they really build relationally with each other. Why do you think that is?
Just because they have more access to each other. Like, they've been knowing each other for, like, 4 or 5 years. Like, they basically grow up together as far as, ninth grade, they all go to USA basketball together. And they playing either against each other, like, 4 or 5 times in the summer. So, and also they're also on each other's social media, so they also get kind of like a feel for who the person is. You know what I mean? They build a relationship by even just liking each other comments or commenting and stuff like that. So I just think from even from my generation, like they just have more access to each other, and they're in a position where they have to build relationships because they're around each other so much. So
no.
Yeah, let me kind of transition a little bit, and I think I would ask you this question is that, man, how do you, end the day, going to what you just said about social media and just the internet has just changed the game. It's changed the game, even, being a part of what you are, Handle Life, and kind of how that all started and how that's all morphed. And it really started with the rise, really, kind of with the internet and what you guys were able to build. I want to ask you this question, though. How do you balance? Because I think when I watch you and I watch your social, I've seen you evolve over the years, but I think you do a really good job of a balance of where there's promotion of what you do, right? Because I think there is. The internet's where you go promote what you do now. It is the internet. I'll tell you, internets are the new billboards. They're the new, back in the day when I was growing up, the magazines, you know what I'm saying? That's just what the internet is now. So so how do you balance that? But also, me and you both know this, and this is where we're going to have a real conversation, but it's just a lot of dudes out there who clout chase too. Where, you know what I'm saying, they always posting, last night, man, I tell you, Twitter is always funny in these moments because I go through Twitter and I'm like, boy, I can't wait to see, the little bro post, the guy worked with the dude 3 times and they post about him and like all that stuff like that. Like, how do you like kind of balance that world? You know what I'm saying? Of doing that, but also marketing yourself, but also not like chasing and living off the heels of another person.
I try the work can never be more important. Like the like putting the phone, like videoing can never be more important than the work that we're doing. You know what I mean? Like the work that we're doing is very important. And I try to keep it as organic as possible. And I'm very conscious of what I'm posting and how I'm posting. And I'm thinking about how it can make the other person feel. And some people like really enjoy being posted a lot. Some people don't. So I have to build that relationship with that person, even if it's like, even if I don't know, I'll just ask the question. You know what I mean? Just having those real questions. How you feel about me posting you? You know what I mean? Like, and I just let them tell me. But I never want, like, it's competitive too. Like everybody is watching everybody work. So I don't want to show you everything that we're doing. You know what I mean? I can control. It's like the internet is a beautiful place because I can control your perception. So I'm very like mindful on what I'm posting and how much I'm posting about a person. I just try to keep it balanced. And just lately I just haven't been in like feeling the need to post a lot about like my workouts or anything else. I've been really wanting to organically just get in the gym and make all of my clients better, including Scottie, including like the 4-year-old kid that I trained last Saturday. Like, I just really wanted to just be about me developing a relationship with the person and just like making them better. You know what I mean? Because once you do that, if you really focus on the work, like, you'll organically get people posting about you, or you'll get, moments like last night where we're at the draft and the kid who is projected eighth, ninth in the teams goes fourth. So the work, you know what I mean? The work speaks for itself. So
Yeah,
that's where I'm at with that.
No, and I love what you said about that, and I have that's one thing I do notice about you, is that it's not just the pro dudes, it's not just X. I know a lot of pro clients you have, whatever. The one thing I love is I go in there, man. It'll be you'll put the fourth grader on there, the fourth grade kid who's starting to learn a skill set, and you'll put the third grade, fourth grade girl who's learning a skill set, and it's like in the same energy with them is the same energy you have with Scottie. You know what I mean? And that's one thing I've always appreciated about you. When I go on your social media, it's not just, all right, he got all the pro dudes, here he goes. But it's like, man, it's a fourth grade kid down there who may play somewhere one day, may not. But the fact of the matter, them seeing themselves, even on social media, on your social media, that does a lot. Man, let me tell you this. I tell people the level of what that'll do inside of a kid of realizing that, man, somebody's willing to do that for me and just seeing themselves, like, it does a whole lot. So, man, that speaks to a lot of who you are. And, I mean, I've always appreciated that. Whenever I go on your story, I know I know I'm going to see, you know what I'm saying? I know I'm going to see the baby. I'm going to see the baby, and I'm going to see a kid part of the Handle Life community. You know what I'm saying? Those are two things I'm going to see. So I really appreciate that, man.
Hey, I appreciate that. And I appreciate your Mean Mondays, man.
Hey,
that's the best part. That's like Monday Night Football, bro. Like Monday night after your Monday is over, sit down, get you a nice glass of water or something. After your long day, and you just go on Adrian Crawford's Instagram, and you just look at Mean Mondays, and it could be the wildest stuff. It's crazy.
Man, you know what? It is, man. Let me tell you this, man. One thing about me Monday, it all just started. One time I was just like, it's like the best, like you talk about being organic. I tell people, man, the most organic, I think those who win in social media are those who just are, like you said, organic and just authentic. I tell people, I post Me Monday because I have a group text. It's me, my wife, and two of my friends. And literally, it just started with us just posting, like putting memes in. We talk about some serious, but it's like we just started putting memes in there. And then one day I was like, man, these things are so funny. So I started just like, Meme Monday. So I just kind of started posting. And now it's to a point now, man, where I tell people, like, I feel like low key, I feel like when you become like the neighborhood, when you become like the neighborhood hero, like you become the neighborhood dope boy, it's like, I got memes flooded from everywhere. Like I don't even have to go search for memes now. You know what I'm saying? It's like I got memes coming from all across the world, man. And so that's what I'm saying, man. Hey, let me tell you this. I mean, I'm not lying to you. When I tell you I got people in this is a true story. I got people in Australia. I got people in Germany. I mean, they'll literally DM me, hey, I got this for Me Monday. You know what I'm saying? And it's just like, oh, cool. And when I don't post, when I do not post, I mean, it'll be like, sometimes, you get late tonight or whatever. I'm talking about it's like clockwork. People hitting me. I mean, I had somebody hit me from out in Oregon. They were flying across the country, and they literally said, like, hey, I'm about to be on a plane for like 3 or 4 hours. Can you drop me Monday a little bit early before I get on this plane? I was like, so anyway, so now it's like one of those things where I don't even know if I can ever quit. You know what I'm saying? It's like, I've been doing it. Yeah, I can't quit, man. I'm like, I got to give the people what they want. So
that's fun.
Well, here's a couple more things, man, that I know I'm going to let you go. Hey, last night, I mean, again, watching the draft, seeing all those things, who do you think were some of the, outside of Toronto, but like who are some people in the draft, one, who you are really impressed with, and who's somebody you thought was a sleeper in that draft?
I'm really impressed with how composed like Cade was. I think he handles himself really well. But I'm really excited about James Bouknight. I think that guy's like really good at basketball. Like I think he's tough, and he works. But I like a lot of the guys, but to be honest, I've just only been focusing on Scottie ever since he went to Florida State. I only been focusing on him. Like I really haven't been paying attention to that many people. So I don't know. I just think I don't know. It's tough with the NBA because it's as much about the people around the kid as it is the organization and the player. You know, you can take a player that maybe not be the best player, but if he goes to a great organization, he can be like Kawhi Leonard. You know, if Kawhi Leonard goes to a different organization, I don't know if Kawhi Leonard is Kawhi Leonard. So, I don't know. You don't know how it's gonna play out. So I was just excited for Scottie, and I was excited for all those young men. You know what I mean? To change like the trajectory of where their family's going. So, that's a bad answer to that question.
No. It was good, and like I said, I've heard a lot. I didn't get a chance to watch Book Night play a ton, and everybody, swears by him. I think last night for me, I would definitely tell you, man, like the kid, Davion Mitchell. Davion Mitchell, I was so happy to watch him, go early because when it's all said and done, I watched him at Baylor. And I'm like, I don't know if I've seen in a long time a kid who can pick you up 94 feet and just cause you outright nightmares. I mean, I watched him on the ball, and it's like my man is how it is. It's like you talking about guard your yard. I mean, that man is guarding your yard and everybody else's yard too. He one of them dudes where I'm like, and I used to hoop. I'm like, oh yeah, but please don't say he guard me tonight. And so I really like him. I like his toughness, and yeah. And one thing go ahead.
No, I mean I get that, but they're gonna run him off of 5 ball screens to get him off of the guy you know what I mean? So it's like you can guard as much as you want, but they'll set 6 ball screens just to get the matchup that they want. And it's not like we hedging and getting through it. Like they just gonna switch it anyway. So although he's a great, defender, like the NBA game is so crazy that they'll find a way. But yeah, I think he's gonna be. The crazy thing about him is that he'll pick you up full court and then he'll shoot a step back jumper for 3, like on the other end. I think that's freaking crazy. But yeah.
Yeah, that was it. Watching him play, and that was it. And you're 100% right. The game's gonna be completely different. I've watched him guard bigs, and when they switch, he can stand somebody up in the post and all stuff like that. But the one thing, I'm with you. The one thing I watched him play, it's like, he was guarding you, then he's coming back on the other. Mostly, you got a good defensive dude, and maybe on the offensive end they can distribute. He was like, I'm gonna pick you up, and then on the other end, it's straight get busy time, and that's a very hard, and again at 6'1" too. You watch a dude that's 6 foot, 6'1", being able to do that is pretty impressive.
Yeah.
Yeah, a couple last, one of my other guys I'm again a Florida State guy, so watching, again, I think watching Raekwon Gray, I love watching Turk be able to go and get drafted and stuff like that. I think he's going to be a guy who will be a sleeper overall in the draft, just out of the reality of, I think, he had the weight thing, but again, I even think he's down to like 253, whatever. And again, I think Brooklyn got a steal with him because he's down from the South Florida area. And you got to see him play, watching Scottie. What do you think about Turk?
No, I think he's great for Brooklyn because he'll be kind of in like the Bruce Bowen role where he can guard a big, but he can also, help with the floor spacing and rebound the ball and bring it and then kick it up to KD and stuff. I love Turk, man. I think he's a hard worker. I think he's way better than people think he is. I think he's gonna be a great pro too, man. He's just, he's been a worker, man. He's done everything, whatever Florida State asked him to do, he's done it. They asked him to lose weight. I heard you on the broadcast a couple of times, like saying that he was walking around campus, like carrying like gallons of water, making sure, he stays hydrated and dropping the weight. So, when you have someone who's dedicated like that, it's only going to get, intensified once you get to the league. So, yeah, I'm definitely happy for that.
Yeah, again, I tell people, man, people don't realize this. I knew Turk was going to be good. This is a story I tell people all the time. Turk came in as a freshman, and so we at practice. And so I'm sitting in practice. I'm in the back court, because they were doing half court. So I'm sitting back there with Coach Ham. So Turk was a freshman. And at this day, listen, there's no way Turk wasn't at least, Turk was 290, maybe 3 bills at that point, right? Like, this was that Turk had put on about that freshman 15 or 20. And so he's out there. But, he's hooping. And they set a high ball screen for him. And when they set the high ball screen, at like 300 pounds, he comes off and splits the ball screen and makes a corner kick. And Coach Ham was like, oh, man, Turk, you made the bad read. And I'm sitting next to him laughing. And he looks at me. He's like, why are you laughing? I was like, Coach, listen, man, Warren Sapp just split a ball screen and you talking about the right read. I'm like, he going to be okay. Like, we'll figure the right read out. You cannot teach a defensive tackle out there doing what he has done, you know? And so, and so anyway, yeah, I think he's going to be good. Well, man, hey, as we come to a close, I mean, I think that, you know, I want to do this as we get to close. I really do want to say this again as a young dude who's in the game and been doing it. You know, man, I just want to let you know I really appreciate you. I appreciate the work that you do. Again, a lot of guys who are older don't like to give flowers to the next generation coming up. You know, and again, as a guy who's been in skill development, watching you do the work, be passionate about your craft, whether if it's with the fourth grader or if it's with the pro guy, speaks to a lot to your character, speaks to a lot of your real passion about the work that you do, not just about getting clout, but the work that you do. And man, I just want to give you your flowers, you know what I'm saying, about all the work that you've done. I've seen you been in the mud for a long time doing this, and to watch you get this opportunity, seeing your stories, seeing you be there at the draft, man, it made me really happy last night because I remember the conversations we had when you came up here to Tallahassee. You were just beginning, trying to figure it out and watching what you've done. Again, I believe basketball and, you know, a lot of this, and not only basketball, but the development of the next generation is in really good hands, man. So I really appreciate all your work.
I appreciate you, man. I appreciate you, you know, setting the standard on, you know, what a black man is supposed to be, you know, like me watching from afar. And I appreciate, you know, just, you know, being a man of God and just how you are with your family and stuff like that. That's a great example for like us younger guys, because, you know, some of us, we didn't have that, you know what I mean? So sometimes we got to look around at, you know, grab certain people like that. So it's always good to see someone like that, and just seeing that person, you know, support you, you know, from afar and here and there. And, you know what I mean? It's just great to have people like you, especially who are God-fearing, you know what I mean? That's very important to me, and I know it's important to you. But also aren't like God-fearing like you can't have fun, you know what I mean? Like you like, you know what I mean? You just one of the guys, but at the end of the day, you know, it's always God first. So it's good to see that it doesn't have to just be, you don't have to be, you know, like God-fearing one way, you know what I mean? You can open up, you don't have to discuss certain things. You don't only, like, you know, I don't think you asked me one question, you know what I mean, about God, but you know what I mean? But we all know like that's the forefront of both of our lives. But it's just, again, like that just says like how important you are to like this next generation, you know what I mean, leading us and just be an example on what like a father, God-fearing man, and just a part of the community, like person was supposed to be. So appreciate you as well, man.
Well, man, I appreciate that. Yeah, I always tell people all the time, man, people forget, man, you know, a lot of people talking about, when you talk about, you know, faith and Christianity, I'm like, man, Jesus wasn't like, Jesus actually, you know, came down to earth and lived with the earth. And I tell people Jesus laughed. You know what I'm saying? Like, you know, like humor wasn't something humans made up. You know what I'm saying? Like, I mean, he laughed, he hung out with people, he did those things. I think it's always really important. that's one of the reasons why I do Me Monday, because what I try to break down is like, you know, sometimes people have this distant thoughts of people who are, you know, in certain roles. And like, what it ends up doing is making a huge separation where people actually will think, oh, once I become this or actually do this, then, you know, I just try to give people authentically, this is who I am. Because I think when you don't do that, then what you end up doing is you create this facade. And what'll really mess you up is when you get behind closed doors and realize like, oh, man, you jacked up too. You know what I'm saying? That's what I've come to realize. I tell people all the time, yeah, I'm jacked up. Same Bible I talk about, same Bible I got to use too to help me. And so, you know, we all in this journey together. So, well, hey, I appreciate you, man. I appreciate your work. And again, man, best of luck on as you continue to go forward. And again, I want to encourage you, man, enjoy the moment. Again, you know what I'm saying? I know sometimes you be going to the next thing. What's next? You know, you got the next thing. But let me tell you this, you know, I've been there in the sense of, man, seeing a guy accomplish his dream and just being a part of that journey. So I want to encourage you, man, enjoy your moment, man. And yo, man, hurry up. You know, you got to hurry up and get back home. You know what I'm saying? You know, you got to get back home. So you take care of that little baby of yours.
Hey, I got one question for you though.
Oh, let's do it. What's up?
You got time?
Yeah, for sure. Listen, yeah, I was just trying to respect your time. Yeah, go for it.
I don't have nothing. I'm done for the day. I did my job. No, but so you know, being a like a first time dad, it's a huge responsibility. You know, is like thrust upon you. You know, like uh, how do you maintain like the balance? Everybody needs you, like my clients need me. Like I gotta work on my business. I still gotta continue to build my relationship with my girl. And then I have to, you know, this kid is like probably the most important thing in my life. But then it's like other relationships get like, like they get short sighted. Like just even like I don't text my mom as much. Like different things like that. How do you maintain a balance, and how do you go about that? Because I know you're super busy. You have your hands in so many things, but like being there is different from like no matter what you're doing. Like being there is just what they want, what everybody wants. So what steps have you taken to like maintain a better like a healthy balance? And just share some thoughts on that.
Yeah, nah, man. Well, wow. Well, I appreciate that, and just even ask the question, and so here's what I tell people. I think first thing is this: is life. Life is built in seasons, right? So when you really think about it, we have seasons in life, right? We have fall. You have winter. You know what I'm saying? You have seasons. The world was made to have seasons, so. Reason why I say that is we all think it's all continuous, right? We don't realize that, you think about, man, we live here in Florida. So living in Florida, we know, man, come, hey, round, May, April, May, it's hot. You know what I'm saying? It's like, so if you going to the beach, you better have your summer body ready come those times because that's the season, right? Versus then, in the fall, whatever you expect. I think that most people miss it is they live life in like these years and not understanding the season that you're in. So right now you're in a season. You have a newborn. So in that season, it's a whole different world for you. And so you're in that season of having a newborn child, man. It's like, man, I was joking with you, like, man, you're just trying to, when you're there, like, man, I'm just trying to like survive. I'm tired, I'm whatever. So I would tell you, first of all, the biggest thing you can do in this moment, like, is just be the greatest support you can be. For your, for your child and for your girl, because you know what I'm saying, because she's carrying a lot of the weight of it. You know what I'm saying? Again, the mom early, so that's what I tried to do early on there. The other thing too, man, in understanding season is really being really clear in expectation, because the reason why you're in seasons change. So what people still expect, they expect you to be Brian who didn't have a kid. They expect you to be Brian who didn't have the fourth pick in the draft, who's going to be calling me to maybe travel to go help him. They're going to see, you know what I'm saying? Like, they're going to see that. And so what happens is that everybody still wants you to operate in that last season, but you've evolved to a different season. So the most important thing for you, and this is what's hard for every individual, in the depths of every human being, individual, there's codependency that's there. And codependency, like, you try to be everything for everybody instead of just being honest with people. So, that's a big thing I can tell you, man, is because there's a chasm that happens with expectations and reality. So you talked about your mom. Man, like, yeah, like, before you didn't have another literally human you're responsible for. So you're like, yo, I can kind of, as long as you connected with your girl and da-da-da, you was good. You can kind of go about your way and do your thing. Now it's like, oh, I've got another human being who literally, without me and my girl, will not survive. Like, that child will not survive without y'all. So you have different things. So I would tell you, just in seasons, to clearly communicate and then be okay with whatever. You're not responsible for people's reaction. So you may have to tell some people, hey, I used to train you here. I just can't do that anymore. And what's going to happen, you're going to have to fight the thing. Oh, you think you big time now. You big timing me now. Oh, you got the number 4 pick in the draft, so now you can't work with us. And that's not it. It's just you're one person. And I think you got to be okay with that. And so understanding seasons, be real clear in expectation. And the third thing is this, is that what this will hone you in on, man, I want you to think about it this way. If someone told you, hey, Brian, you got 5 years to live, what would you focus on? Well, what you have now. Because now that gets everything laser focused. Because if I told you that, you'd be like, oh, yeah, me worrying about me going back and forth, with John 456, in the comments. I'm like, yeah, I'm not wasting my time on this clown. Like, you know what I'm saying? Or me train, you do what you feel like this is the most impact I can have, because I won't have that. I've really, I've got a couple mentors of mine, and one of them was facing pancreatic cancer. And that's one of the things I asked him. I was like, hey, potentially like you could, I mean, you could die. And he just said, and I asked him, what have you learned? He's like, the main things are the main things. And that's what I focus on. And so I literally, this was over this last year, even though I do a lot, man, I focus on stuff that hits the wheelhouse of what I do. So I tell people unlocking authenticity is what I do. So when I'm doing the radio gig, I ain't trying to be Jay Billis. I ain't trying to be, Doris Burke. I'm not trying to, be, one of the dudes I love is, I'm not trying to be, Hubie Brown, who just can unpack the game. Guys like that. What I try to do is really get people behind the scenes. It's authenticity, right? So I'm watching the game, and I'll look at Scottie, and I watch Scottie every game, how Scottie would warm up. Like, I watch him, and I'm like, oh, I could tell, Scottie about to go. Like, I could tell when he was like, because I just watched. So I will pull that out before, but that's me. And that's not crazy. That's not like crazy work for me to do there. And so I just focus in on that. And so, again, that's kind of where I go. I don't know if that's a long answer, but that's kind of the three things I think is seasons, unmet, clear expectation, and then streamline. Man, if you have 5 years to live, what would you focus on? And go focus on that.
That's a great answer.
And so,
but
hopefully,
I was gonna ask that.
What'd you say?
I said the way you answered it, it seemed like you knew I was gonna ask that.
Man, no. You know what? Let me tell
take
you
that
this.
paper, bro.
Hey, look, that paper you looking at, look right here. That paper ain't got nothing on it but a white piece. It was here just in case I had to ask or write something down. But no, I'll tell you this. In all honesty, the reason why, man, is because, like, I really have to focus on that because, my kids are, the difference, I've got kids now. I got a 16-year-old. I've got a 16-year-old. I got a 13-year-old. I got a 10-year-old. So here's the thing, like, the main things are the main things for me with them. I tell people in parenting, here's what you got to realize. You can learn from everybody else, but you have to build your life based off of who you are and build around that. So, for example, everybody's, oh, man, when it comes to education, listen, man, the last thing I'm going to do is like how parents work with their kids with homework, right? I will literally choke my son if me and him had to do homework together. Like, it's just like, it just don't work. We tried it, and I'm like, nah, fam. I'm like, this ain't going to work. So you know what? I pay somebody to help him. And that's okay. Because sometimes you feel that parent guilt. Oh, no, I should be doing this because you look at, somebody on Facebook and, oh, look at all this stuff. Look at what I've been doing here. I'm like, man, look, that's them. That's not me. So that's some big thing I can tell you, man. Be honest with yourself and say, this is what I do well. Here's what I don't do well. Just like, think about this. Think about how and Brian, the most important thing, you've already been doing it. You've been developing people for the longest time. So most of your life's like, okay, just like you did with Scottie. Man, who he worked out with in Santa Barbara, like, man, he really could do some great stuff with shooting. So you're like, yo, let's do that. And it took it off your hands. You're like, okay, he got that, and it helped Scottie, but then you did your part. But you were willing to outsource. It's not like you can't teach shooting. It's not you've done that. You're good at it. But you're like, oh, let him do this. And see, that's how most of the times we want to be everything. We want to be everything to everybody, and you just can't. So the reason why I know that is because, man, this has been my own struggle for many, many years. I just have gotten to a point at 42 where I'm like, okay, I know this. I know very clear what it is, and I make runs at it. And there's the last thing I'll say, and it's like, and everybody going to have an opinion about your life. Everybody gonna have an opinion about your life. The only thing that matters is this. I would encourage you, I have I always call a board of directors of my life. I got people who, man, they can speak to my life at any point when they think I'm off. And that's all that matters. Them, my wife, you know what I'm saying? Like those guys, those women, and then my wife, like at the end of the day, that's it. Everybody else, man, I'm straight up, they can kick rocks. Like I don't care what they think about my life. Because the people who I know gonna be honest with me, gonna be honest. If they think I need to change, I listen to them. But everybody's gonna have an opinion about your life, man. Hey guys, again, I hope you enjoyed the podcast with Brian Macon. Again, we were recording this via Zoom, so we had a little bit of some technical difficulties here and there. So as I'm recording this part of it and the audio part, we're going to go into post-production. There's a little bit of glitches there. Hey, forgive us. We were doing our best. Again, this Zoom era that we're living in, we had some unstable connection at times. But man, I hope you guys got a lot out of it, and we'll be back with you soon on Black and Mild.